Let's go Ravens! Something just happened behind the scenes in Baltimore that could completely change the future of the Ravens, and if the reports are true, this could be one of the boldest moves the franchise has made in years. Ravens fans have been waiting for a moment like this for a long time, and now the front office may have finally made a decision that could shake up the entire NFL. But before we dive into everything that's happening, be sure to like this post right now if you truly believe the Baltimore Ravens are building something special for next season. And I want to see how confident that fan base really is. Head to the comments and write, "Go Ravens! I believe this is our year," if you're optimistic that this team can get close to the Super Bowl. Because what we're about to discuss could be the game-changing move for Baltimore. Now let's talk about what this move actually means. Because this isn't just about acquiring a big name. This is about solving one of the Ravens' biggest issues over the last several seasons, the lack of a truly elite pass rusher. Ravens fans know the story. Since the era of Terrell Suggs, the team has been searching for that dominant edge presence who can consistently disrupt quarterbacks and change games. The organization tried multiple approaches over the years. They invested in players like Odafe, they looked for production from players like Kyle Van Noy and Jadeveon Clowney, and they even attempted to bring back Zadarius Smith. But despite all those efforts, the Ravens never fully re-established that elite pass-rushing identity. That's why this trade is so significant. Maxx Crosby is not just another edge defender. He's widely considered one of the most dominant pass rushers in the entire league. And what makes him even more dangerous is that his impact isn't limited to getting after the quarterback. He's also known for his ability to defend the run, showing the kind of physicality and effort that turns him into a complete defensive weapon. There was even a moment in a previous matchup where Crosby stopped Derrick Henry in the backfield by himself, showing just how strong and relentless he can be as a defender. And when you start looking at the bigger picture, things get even more interesting. The Ravens already have key defensive pieces like Roquan Smith and Marlon Humphrey, and younger players like Nate Wiggins who could benefit from a stronger defensive scheme and improved pass rush pressure. Add Maxx Crosby into that environment, and suddenly opposing offenses are forced to deal with a completely different level of defensive intensity. Another fascinating aspect of this move is the timing. Reports suggest that the Ravens had around $19 million in cap space, while Crosby carries a cap hit close to $30 million. That means adjustments had to happen behind the scenes for this trade to even be possible. And what that strongly suggests is that Lamar Jackson's contract situation may already be settled or structured in a way that allows the Ravens to make this kind of aggressive move. If that's the case, the franchise could now have stability at quarterback while also dramatically improving the defense. And when you think about the leadership side of things, there's another layer to this story. Many people around the organization have been discussing the pressure that ownership has placed on the front office to deliver results. Steve Bisciotti made it clear that the team needs to get things right moving forward, and that sense of urgency may have pushed the Ravens to abandon their usual conservative strategy. Instead of waiting for draft picks to develop over time, they chose to bring in a proven elite player who could immediately transform the defense. For Ravens fans, this is the type of move that signals ambition. It says the team is serious about competing at the highest level. With Lamar Jackson leading the offense and now a potential elite pass rusher anchoring the defense, the Ravens could be positioning themselves for a serious championship push if the rest of the roster comes together the right way. But this also raises a big question about the future identity of the franchise. Because if Eric DeCosta is now willing to trade multiple first-round picks to acquire elite talent, it might mean we are witnessing the beginning of a completely new approach in Baltimore. The old philosophy of holding onto every draft pick might be gone, replaced by a more aggressive strategy aimed at winning right now. Now when you look deeper into what this move could mean for the Ravens moving forward, the implications become even bigger. Because bringing in a player like Maxx Crosby doesn't just add another name to the defensive lineup, it changes the entire identity of how this defense can operate week after week. Think about it for a moment. Over the last few seasons, one of the biggest frustrations for Ravens fans has been the inconsistency of the pass rush. The team has tried multiple combinations, different coordinators, and different personnel packages, but the results were often uneven. There were moments when the pressure was there, but there were also long stretches where opposing quarterbacks simply had too much time in the pocket. That's exactly the kind of problem a player like Crosby is known for fixing. He is the type of defender who demands attention on every snap. Offensive lines have to plan their entire protection scheme around him. Tight ends have to chip him. Running backs have to help in pass protection. And when one player forces that much attention, it suddenly opens opportunities for everyone else on the defensive front. That's when players like Travis Jones and others along the defensive line can start finding more favorable matchups. And if you really think about it, the timing of this move could not be more important for Baltimore. The Ravens already have what many consider the best quarterback in the NFL leading their offense in Lamar Jackson. With that kind of offensive talent, the missing piece for the last few seasons has often been defensive consistency in big moments. When games get tight late in the fourth quarter, you need that one defender who can come off the edge, disrupt the play, and completely change the outcome of a drive. That's exactly what Crosby has built his reputation on throughout his career. His motor, his aggression, and his relentless pursuit of the quarterback are the traits that make him one of the most feared pass rushers in football today. And now imagine that mentality being added to a Ravens defense that already has leaders like Roquan Smith in the middle of the field directing the unit. Another interesting aspect to consider is how this could impact the younger players on the roster. When you bring in an elite veteran who plays with the kind of intensity Crosby does, it tends to elevate the entire locker room. Young defenders see how he prepares, how he trains, how he approaches every snap with maximum effort. That kind of leadership often spreads throughout the defensive unit, raising the overall standard for everyone. And then there's the coaching side of things. With experienced defensive minds now working with a player of Crosby's caliber, there's a real possibility that the Ravens could unlock even more from their defensive scheme. When you have a pass rusher who can consistently win one-on-one matchups, it allows defensive coordinators to be far more creative with blitz packages, coverage disguises, and pressure concepts. But Ravens fans also know that no move in the NFL comes without risk. Giving up 2 first-round picks is a massive investment. Those picks could have been used to bring in young players who might contribute for years to come. The front office clearly believes that Crosby's immediate impact is worth that price, especially if the team feels they are close to competing for a Super Bowl. And if that belief proves correct, this trade could end up being remembered as one of the boldest and most defining moves in recent Ravens history. Because think about the picture that is forming here: Lamar Jackson commanding the offense, a defense anchored by playmakers like Roquan Smith, experienced veterans in the secondary, and now potentially one of the most dominant pass rushers in the entire league lining up on the edge. That's the kind of roster that doesn't just aim to make the playoffs. That's the kind of roster built to chase championships. So now the real question becomes this: are we witnessing the beginning of a new era in Baltimore? An era where the Ravens are no longer just patient builders through the draft, but aggressive contenders willing to make blockbuster moves when the opportunity appears? If this trade delivers the results the front office is hoping for, Ravens fans could be watching the start of something very special. And there's another angle to this story that Ravens fans should really think about, because a move like this doesn't just affect one position group. It sends a message across the entire organization. When a front office is willing to sacrifice 2 first-round picks to acquire a proven star, it tells the locker room that the franchise believes the window to win is open right now. For years, Ravens fans have watched the team come very close to landing big names, only for deals to fall apart at the last moment. We've heard the reports many times. The Ravens were interested, the Ravens were close, the Ravens explored the possibility. But often those deals never crossed the finish line because the price was just a little too high. This time, the organization clearly decided that the opportunity was too important to pass up. And when you think about the defensive structure, Crosby's presence could change how offenses approach Baltimore entirely. Instead of being able to slide protections casually or double-team interior players, offensive coordinators now have to plan around a relentless edge rusher who plays every snap with an incredible motor. That type of pressure forces quarterbacks to speed up their decision-making, and when quarterbacks rush their reads, that's when turnovers start to happen. That's where the rest of the Ravens' defense could really benefit. A faster quarterback clock means defensive backs have a better chance to jump routes. Linebackers can attack downhill more aggressively. The entire unit starts to play faster and with more confidence. And when a defense starts feeding off that energy, it becomes incredibly difficult for opposing offenses to maintain rhythm. Another detail that fans are already talking about is how seamlessly Crosby's playing style fits the identity of Baltimore football. Ravens defenses have always been built around toughness, effort, and physical dominance at the line of scrimmage. Crosby's reputation around the league is built on those exact qualities. His relentless pursuit, his intensity snap after snap, and his ability to impact both the pass and the run game make him the kind of defender who embodies that Ravens mentality. And if everything comes together the way the organization hopes, this move could end up being remembered as the moment the Ravens fully committed to chasing another Lombardi trophy. Because pairing an elite quarterback with a defense capable of consistently pressuring opposing passers is one of the most powerful formulas for championship success in the NFL. Now the spotlight turns to the rest of the offseason. The draft is still ahead, free agency still offers opportunities, and the Ravens will continue shaping